Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joseph Hughes. Thank you for watching. Okay, I've got another Civil War video to do, okay? Now, of course, if any of you have watched my previous Civil War videos, you know that I am of the opinion that many of the narratives that have come down to us through the history are politically biased and politically tainted. Okay, now this particular video isn't so much about political bias or the narratives that were created because of that political bias, but in kind of a secondary way it is. Okay, now of course, because of the political biases that were worked into American history, some of the individuals who participated in some of the battles were de-emphasized, and other major figures were emphasized. And one of the major figures that was de-emphasized was Major General Jesse Reno. Okay, now of course, if you study the American Civil War, you know a lot about the Battle of Gettysburg, but maybe not so much about the Battle of Antietam. Okay, now thinking about the Battle of Gettysburg, a very popular question has always been, what if Stonewall Jackson had been there? Would the Confederates have won? You know, would they have taken the high ground on the first day? And that's a legitimate question. You know, that is a legitimate what if. Okay, now of course, if Stonewall Jackson had been at Gettysburg, maybe his unit would have taken the high ground, and that would have altered the entire trajectory of the battle. Would the Confederates have won? We don't know, because the entire thing would have been different. But that's a legitimate question. I've got a what if for you. What if Jesse Reno was at Antietam? What if Jesse Reno was at Antietam? Let me tell you a little bit about Jesse Reno. Major General Jesse Reno was a Corps commander, the commander of the 9th Corps in the Union Army, and he was considered to be a very energetic general, and in fact, he was considered to be a rising star in the Union Army. Now, on September 14th, 1862, during the Battle of South Mountain, Jesse Reno was killed. And this is his monument right here. I'll show you his monument. Okay, so Jesse Reno, who was basically the equivalent, the Union's equivalent of Stonewall Jackson, was killed 3 days before the Battle of Antietam. And I'm asking you, what would have happened had Jesse Reno not been killed? And what if Jesse Reno had been at the Battle of Antietam? Think about it. Okay, now Jesse Reno was in charge of the 9th Corps. The day after, the morning after the Battle of South Mountain, General Burnside is now in charge of the 9th Corps. And immediately, the 9th Corps is underperforming. General George B. McClellan has to come directly to General Burnside's headquarters and says, "Why aren't you moving? I told you to move out hours ago. You're sitting here doing nothing. What's going on?" So immediately the 9th Corps is underperforming to the point where the commanding general has to come to Burnside's headquarters and say, "What's going on? Why aren't you moving?" So the 9th Corps, which had been in charge of a rising star of the Union Army, Major General Jesse Reno, a very energetic commander, is now being directed directly by Ambrose Burnside. Okay, now of course, if you know anything about the Battle of Antietam, you know that General Burnside was in charge of the 9th Corps on the south of the battlefield, and it was his task to attack from there Robert E. Lee's army. And of course, if you study the battle, you know that he took hours to accomplish something, and General George B. McClellan had to say, "Why aren't you attacking? I told you to attack hours ago." And then, of course, A.P. Hill's Corps slams into a green unit that's holding the flank of General Burnside's attack, and Robert E. Lee's army isn't destroyed at Antietam. If Jesse Reno had been in charge, that battle would have taken place an hour or so early, maybe 2 hours earlier. Would Robert E. Lee's army have been destroyed that day, September 17th, 1862, if Jesse Reno had been alive and participated in that battle? It's the same thing as the Stonewall Jackson question. The war could have ended September 17th, 1862, if Jesse Reno had not been killed 3 days before. So that's, I think, a very interesting question, and I think it's something that has been obscured by history until now. Joseph Hughes signing out.